Hi guys, Yuki here, back with Seduce Me. We're gonna be moving on to the next guy, Andrew. Oh, I forgot his name for a sec. Anyways, we're gonna just start off here with the party where we meet him because, like, more than half isn't gonna really have anything to do with his route. But anyways, let's just get to it. Suddenly, though, my mother pushed her way through the crowd to me, bringing along someone I didn't know.
Honey, I'd like to introduce you to someone. This kind gentleman is the son of the vice chairman.
With my mother stood a man who looked only a couple of years older than me. He smiled and held out his hand to me, silently asking for my hand.
Hi, I'm Andrew Lewis. It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Anderson.
Place your hand in his. As I placed my hand in his, he raised it to his lips and kissed over my knuckles. I felt my face burn slightly at the gesture. Andrew smiled at me before releasing my hand.
I'm honored to be invited here.
My mother smiled at both of us, which made me slightly concerned. But was she excited to introduce me to Andrew?
So, you organized this party very well, Miss Anderson.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Praise is very much deserved.
Andrew then chuckled nervously, bringing a soft fist to his lips to cover his laugh properly before smiling at me.
I'm sorry if I seem a little forward. I've just been excited to meet Harold Anderson's granddaughter.
Huh? Why?
He used to talk about you all the time in the office on how you helped him refine his toys. I only attended meetings and heard all of the stories. You've helped a lot with the success of the company without having to actually work there.
Oh wow, I didn't know he talked about me. That would explain everyone's fascination with me and their rather personal questions. I looked to Andrew, who had a kind face to me. Something about him seemed off, and I didn't know what it was. He seemed to be hiding something. Whether it was good or bad, I was not able to find out. I felt someone walk up beside me, causing me to turn to them. Next to me was my dad, giving his cold stare to Andrew, who suddenly became tense.
So, you're Jared's son.
Andrew's body twitched slightly, whether it was of fear or insult. Andrew locked eyes with my father. I couldn't help but feel a tension between them. It irked me how fragile the air had become, enough to break at the wrong word.
You're the one who wants to be the next CEO of the Anderson Company.
Well,
I stared at Andrew. This guy wanted to take my grandfather's place as CEO? I thought the vice chairman wanted the position.
David, leave the poor boy alone.
I'm merely testing the boy's conversational skills. Nothing wrong with that.
of course not, sir.
And polite as well. Interesting.
If you'll excuse me.
Quickly, Andrew retreated away from my family into the crowd of people. Follow him. I quickly followed Andrew, wanting to be sure he was all right. I felt a little embarrassed that my dad put him on the spot like that. I had to apologize. We wound up outside. The stars practically danced on the grass as we stood out in the backyard of the mansion. It had been my first time in years being out there, but my thoughts weren't on this nostalgia. Hey, Andrew? Andrew turned to me in surprise. However, his face was completely red in both embarrassment and humiliation. I felt terrible.
Oh, I didn't see you or hear you following. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I should be the one to apologize.
What for? You didn't do anything wrong.
I mean, for the way my dad behaved. He shouldn't have been so...
Oh, no, it's fine. I mean, I should have expected it and been more prepared.
Andrew rubbed the back of his neck and gave a goofy grin. It was intriguing seeing Matthew's professional side and then see a goofy smile away from everyone. Still, I'm sorry for that.
It's not a problem, really, but thank you.
We both smiled at each other before I reached my hand out to him. He tilted his head and raised an eyebrow in confusion. Yuki. My name is Yuki. Understanding, his smile returned before he took my hand gently and shook it.
That's a pretty name. I'm happy to know it now.
No, it's not that nice.
I have to disagree with you. It's much better than Andrew. I mean, who names their kid Andrew?
A lot of people do.
But how about Axel or Ace? Something cool like that.
I couldn't help but laugh at him. He was pretty chill for a guy who was supposed to be a vice chairman's son. He grinned and laughed along with me. I don't know why, but I felt warm. Whether it was the almost non-existent breeze or the situation we found ourselves in, it felt nice.
Lewis!
And just like that, the feeling had vanished. We both turned to see my dad at the doors of the mansion, staring at Andrew with an almost deadly glare. Andrew straightened up, trying to maintain a business posture.
Yes, sir?
Your limo is in the front. The driver has requested that you return home. Now.
Oh, all right. Thank you, sir.
Andrew quickly nodded to me before speeding back into the mansion to leave. As I took a step to follow, my dad stepped in front of me. Dad?
I don't want to hear it. Do not become friendly with him. He wants to take the company away from us. You have no reason to be friends with him.
Before I could retort, my dad turned away and walked back inside, muttering about how the party was nearing an end. I sighed and entered the house as well, wanting for the party to end immediately. Eventually, only Susan, Naomi, my parents, and the Ikabai were left. My dad suddenly walked over and placed a hand on my shoulder with a smile. I stared up at him, a wave of confusion washing over my face. What?
You did good tonight. I'm proud.
Oh, thank you, Dad.
Keep it up and you'll be a good CEO.
Oh, right.
All right, your mother and I have to leave. I'm sure Naomi and Suzu need to leave as well. Just because it's Saturday doesn't mean you should stay up all night.
Oh, right.
Thanks for having us. It was a great party. We'll come visit tomorrow or something. All right?
Right. See ya.
Good night, sweetie. Come visit us soon.
Will do. And skip. Get out of my house. Duck. Do.
You're so important to me.
I swear I'll give my life to you.
Please, let me love you.
I'll be by your side, always.
I can't imagine living without you.
I want to be with you.
I love you.
Whoa. Okay. I slowly opened my eyes, letting the voices of my dream echo in my head and force me awake. I rubbed my eyes before sitting up and looking at my clock. 7 a.m.? Why am I up so early? I fell back onto the bed and closed my eyes, trying to go back to sleep. However, something kept me awake. Why? It's too early to even be alive. I gave up and sat up, staring at the fireplace across from my bed. A sigh escaped from between my lips before I threw my legs over the side of the bed. What to do at 7 a.m. in the morning? Work on my homework. I had to work on my homework. I had school tomorrow, regardless of what was happening in my life. At that moment, I wished school was over. Well, might as well get it done now. I reluctantly took out my books from my bag that sat on the floor. I made my bed into a study picnic area as I began to work through my homework. The benefit of doing your homework in the morning, not having to do it later. The downside, morning sucks for trying to use your brain for anything educational. The formula for fixed cost is FC plus VC times Q equals TC. Marginal cost is total cost minus fixed costs. I felt my brain slowly starting to ramp up the flow of logical thought, speeding up the time I was working on each economic equation I had. It wasn't a matter of me being smart about anything when it came to doing homework or doing well in class, but I was quick to learn and easily retain information. If only I could learn about the boys this fast. I stopped. Did I really just compare learning about demons to learning about economics? It's 7 a.m. It's too early to be alive, let alone make sense. I shook my head and continued to work. I returned to bed, feeling the weight of the morning drag me under my covers to try sleeping again. I had energy, but I wanted more sleep. It was Sunday and nothing was happening today. Come on, eyes, back to sleep. I shut my eyes and tried to slow my breathing. I looked at my phone to check the time once again. It was noon, yet it felt like I had slept for much longer. Why is time going so slowly? I sighed, got changed into normal clothes, and went out to the main hall and sat on the stairs. Sundays were very boring. However, the muffled sound of battles caught my attention. Huh? Skipping. Don't disturb. Skipping. Sandwiches. Skipping. Go to your room and eat. I decided against bothering them. They knew where the food was, so I went to my room instead and ate alone in my room. Oh, it's not my problem. I turned on my computer and started to jam to music as I ate my food. As I ate, I began to think about going out. There were so many places to go, things to do. Grandfather's grave. It was Sunday, and I felt the need to see my grandfather. It had been 3 days since he had been buried, and the cemetery was only a short walk away. I decided to see him. I took my time eating and headed out the street to walk towards the cemetery. It was a good half-hour walk, but it would be a nice stroll. A flower shop was on the way, so I could pick up flowers for his grave. I still felt the sting of grief run through my bones. I knew that it would eventually fade over time. I paused my journey to the cemetery to enter the flower shop, quickly picking a bouquet from the back display case and paying. The bouquet of lilies, please. Thank you. With flowers in hand, I made my way to the large steel gates of St. Joseph's Cemetery. I entered and felt a cold shiver of death run through the air against my skin. Would it always be like this? The cemetery was a final resting place. It wasn't just for mourning or sadness. It was supposed to be a place for remembrance. I sighed as I walked through the cemetery towards my grandfather's grave. Before I could reach it, though, I noticed a figure standing by the slab. Huh? Who's that? I stopped walking and tried to focus my sight to see who was standing at my grandfather's grave before I approached. I didn't want to interrupt a prayer or anything, but even more I wanted to know who exactly was there. My mind barely considered the idea that it was my father, but it couldn't have been him. Familiar brown hair crowned the person's head instead of the black and gray my father had. He was vaguely familiar. Andrew? It was indeed Andrew. He was dressed in casual clothes, but he was giving his respects to my grandfather. I was curious as to why. I quietly stepped closer and approached Andrew in the grave, being careful not to scare Andrew. At my footsteps, Andrew turned to see me, and realizing it was me, turned fully to me.
Oh, Miss Anderson. I'm sorry. I'll just...
Andrew quickly shook his head and took a step to leave. You're fine, Andrew. I stopped him with a hand and smiled. He was merely paying his respects. There was no need for me to intrude. Andrew stared at me before smiling and nodding, returning to his place in front of the grave. He took a side step to make room for me, so I stepped next to him. I looked to the grave, running my gaze through the engraving on the stone slab before gently laying my bouquet down by it. However, I didn't stand back up. I gently sat down on the grass in front of this grave and stared at it.
Lilies?
Common flowers for gravestones, yeah. My grandfather didn't have a favorite flower. I heard and felt Andrew gently crouch down and sit beside me. I turned my head to look at him, catching him nodding in acknowledgement to my statement. I turned back to the grave, letting out a soft sigh. So, can I ask you why you came here?
I came to pay my respects. He was someone I really idolized.
I turned my head to him again, confused. Idolized?
Mm-hmm. He inspired me to work hard and make people happy. When I interned for his company, he was the first person to greet me at the doors with open arms, even before my father.
Yep, definitely the same as the main character, basically. It's a male version of Mika. I almost couldn't believe what I was hearing. However, the look in Andrew's eyes made my heart break. He truly idolized my grandfather like he was his own grandfather.
Your grandfather was an amazing man, but I'm sure I don't have to tell you that. He treated me better than my dad ever could. All my dad cares about is me becoming the CEO. But Harold Anderson? No.
I could practically feel my lips move in sync with Andrew's as he continued to speak, almost hearing my grandfather speak alongside him in the air.
He said, "Don't worry about it so much. You have plenty of time to decide. Besides, You should do what makes you happy instead.
He said that to me too. Andrew turned to me in surprise before smiling.
Really?
Aww.
He cared a lot about you. There were days that he wouldn't stop talking about you and compared you to me.
He has green flecks in his eyes. I felt a blush run across my face. What things did he say?
Well, he told me how cute you were and how you loved to make people happy. He also said you always had the perfect ideas for his toys.
I felt a smile grow on my face, remembering the small moment when I had helped him design his now most popular toy, the glowing heart bear. I didn't realize how proud of me he was because I was so small, but now that I was older, I was able to understand. He always had me help him, even when I didn't feel like I could. He was the greatest person ever in my life. He treated me better than my dad.
How does your dad treat you?
He's pretty harsh to me. He wants me to be the CEO of the company as well, since it's technically a family business.
Ah, he's strict, like my dad. Well, if it ever came to a time where the board had to decide a CEO, I'd gladly give it up for you.
But I don't want it. I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. Didn't he want the position? Why don't you want to be CEO? To my surprise, Andrew shook his head with a goofy smile.
I don't. My dad wants me to take over the Anderson company, but I really am not sure if I want to or not. Sure, making toys is great and helping people is something I want to do, but I don't know if I want to head the company.
You're not sure what you want to do, just like me.
You don't want to be a CEO either?
I shook my head. Andrew let out a small laugh.
Man, we must be the worst kids on the planet. Our dads want us to take over a company, but we don't even want to. Imagine what would happen if they actually liked each other.
I couldn't help but laugh with him. We were in the same boat, yet we were on opposing sides. It was like Romeo versus Juliet, two families competing for one goal, but the competitors didn't want to even try to reach that goal. Andrew gently stopped laughing and smiled at me.
Your grandfather was right about one thing, though. You are really cute.
Oh, stop it. The blush that had faded from my face suddenly returned at his words. I looked away from him, making him laugh again.
Sorry, it's true. Cross my heart.
Thanks. He was flattering me. I had to admit he was cute too, but I had only known him for a short while. It wasn't realistic to like him more than that, says the one who constantly falls in love with the incubi in less than a week. Andrew cleared his throat and sat up straight, rubbing the back of his neck.
I'll let you have some time with your grandfather. I don't have anywhere to be, so I'll wait by the gates and give you a ride home when you're done.
Awesome. Thank you. It was very sweet of him to wait for me, so I accepted his ride home. Andrew smiled before heading back to the gates. I remained with my grandfather. I'm sure you're laughing where you are, Grandpa. I practically glared at the grave, but after a brief second, I smiled. He's a sweet guy, and he's a big fan of yours. Who wouldn't be? You cared for everyone, no matter who they were. I gently ran a finger over the lilies in the bouquet. It was soft to touch, but my mind was filled with Andrew for some reason. Was this grandfather's plan? Did he hope for me to meet Andrew as a kindred spirit? I wouldn't be surprised. I chuckled softly before standing. I'll be fine, Grandpa. Andrew's a good guy, but who knows? I shrugged before letting out a sigh and turning back to the cemetery gate, where Andrew waited me. Andrew led me into his car and drove me home. I went to my room and remained there until dinner. The remainder of the night passed by, surprisingly uneventful. The boys continued to train with each other, but were kind enough to stop and make me dinner. I was glad for that. Unsurprisingly, the food was perfect, but I felt a little empty without the boys to eat with me. They most likely had already eaten, but still, I felt lonely. I couldn't let it bother me. I ate and went back to my room to study and sleep. Surprisingly, I felt good going to bed that night. I felt like I could have a peaceful sleep after the previous rough nights I had. I felt good. I drifted to sleep and woke up almost flawlessly the next morning. No grogginess, no aches, everything perfectly energized and bright-eyed. Man, how long has it been since I had this much good sleep? I looked to my alarm clock. I woke up 10 minutes before my alarm. Well, hey, I must be lucky today. Karma owed me some luck. After all I had gone through in a merely handful of days, I deserved some kind of good luck. Ecstatic for the day ahead, I turned off my alarms before they could ring and got dressed. However, my phone started to quickly buzz from an incoming text. Huh? Who's texting me this early?
Yo, Anderson! You're carpooling with us from now on. We're not letting you waste your money on a bus. Get ready and be at your gate at 7 stat.
I smiled. My friends were the best. I couldn't drive yet, and I didn't have a car, so it was awesome that my friends would let me carpool. I checked the time, 6:30. Perfect, I can eat breakfast before they come. I packed my bag and carried it downstairs into the kitchen. I quickly made myself coffee and toast, not having time for anything big. I let out a soft sigh in happiness as I sipped my coffee. I felt great, and I felt like nothing could stop me today. Come at me, Day. I'm ready for you. I looked to the time again. Time to go. I quickly rushed to the door, checking myself in the passing mirror. I wasn't wanting to impress anyone, but I still needed to look decent. And right on cue, Naomi drove up on the gates with Suzu waving me down. I rushed out the door and we headed to school, talking about the homework in the coming day. We made it into the school without a hitch. Our lockers were in the same part of the hall, so we quickly unloaded what we needed to and got out our important books and necessities. First incident of the day. As I walked towards Susan and Naomi, who were both waiting for me on the opposite side of the hall, something hooked my ankle and made me fall forward. Ugh.
Hey, are you okay?
Who did that?
The three of us looked back to see Lysette and her gaggle of friends. Lysette had a look of complete innocence, while the girls around her giggled like no tomorrow.
Why, you little...
Suzu, don't!
I felt a giant fire of anger burn in my stomach as I stared at Lysette. Today was not the only time that this had happened to me. However, it was now clear who was behind these incidents. Even if she was innocent and one of her goons did it, it was now obvious that Lysette was a mastermind just from the look on her face. She was no friend, nor would she ever be. I had to do something. I'm gonna walk away. No. I wasn't going to bring myself to her level. She was a bully, but I was not going to let her get to me. I had to be stronger than her, and only then would I have beaten her. I stood up and brushed myself off, pretending nothing had happened.
Anderson, you okay?
That was a pretty bad fall.
Yeah, I'm fine. A fall like that is nothing. I merely smiled at them, not wanting to let them know the pain rushing through my body from the fall. My arms were quaking, my shoulders were pulsing, but I remained content-faced. I quickly gathered my belongings and nodded to my friends. Come on, we'll be late for history. Susan and Naomi looked at each other before frowning and nodding to me. Naomi and Suzu flanked at me as we began to walk to class away from the gaggle of bullies. As we walked, I could barely see Suzu flipping the middle finger at the group behind us from the corner of my eye.
Friggin' bunch of Lisette feet lickers.
That's gross, Suzu.
It's true. It's all OMG! Lisette is the best! Let's follow her around because we obviously don't have lives.
Naomi and I couldn't help but laugh. The group behind us, however, did not like Suzu's words.
At least my dad doesn't screw around in the black market to keep a stupid casino running.
Whoa. Suzu stopped. Naomi and I stopped as well to look back at Suzu, who was completely red in anger. Suzu slowly turned to head to the group, glaring daggers at them.
The fuck did you just say?
I had to act fast. I placed my hand on Suzu's shoulders and gripped tightly, knowing she could try to push my hand away. Suzu, they're not worth it. Let's just go.
No, I think it's about time we taught them some manners.
Suzu!
I looked at Lysette and her group. Lysette had a wickedly amused smile on her face, which irked me to no end. Nevertheless, I knew that fighting wasn't going to get us anywhere. Let's go. I grabbed Suzu by the shoulder roughly, pulling her back to Naomi and me. Suzu tried to step towards the group, but Naomi held onto her other shoulder. We held on to Suzu, who fought against our hands as we marched to class. Surprisingly, the rest of the school day went off without another incident. I went to my classes and had lunch and was anxious to get home. As the bell rang for school to end, I felt my phone vibrate in my pocket. Huh? A text from Dad? I'll be picking you up today. Make sure you're ready to go when I get there. That's kind of a surprise. I quickly headed back to my locker to get my things before waiting for Naomi and Suzu.
Hey, are you ready to go?
Actually, my dad's picking me up.
Really? Okay, I guess that kind of makes sense.
We'll drive home together next time. Tell your dad that we've got you covered from now on.
Yeah, alright. Even while I laughed, something didn't seem right. My dad texted me to say this. Why was he going to pick me up? Had I done something wrong? I didn't know. I waved goodbye to Naomi and Suzu before heading off to the usual spot where my dad picks me up. I took the time to listen to my music while I waited. I need to go to another Rise of the Phoenix concert. Eventually, I had played the entire album with no one showing up. What the hey? Dad's never late, especially not this late. I quickly dialed my dad's number again, but as soon as I pressed the call, it disconnected and read a signal disconnection error message. What the? No signal? How do I not have signal? I double-checked my phone and saw all 5 bars for signal. He must be in a dead zone. Before I could finish, a group of hands grabbed my hands, feet, and covered my mouth. I screamed into the hand over my mouth, struggling to pull away from the hands grabbing at my lips. It felt disgusting and scary feeling their hands on me. I needed it to stop.
Hey! Don't dirty up Malix's prey!
The voice, which sent a fearful shiver down my spine, whispered into my ear.
You're coming with me, Miss Anderson.
I couldn't fathom what was happening, but before I knew it, I was blindfolded and my limbs were quickly tied up. I felt myself being carried somewhere and was shoved into something that echoed the interior of a bus or a van. The doors closed and off I was taken, unsure of where I was going and why. All I knew was that I was in trouble. All I saw was darkness. I felt numb and was taken to a place I didn't know of. I couldn't even move my lips to scream. Sounds zipped past my ears, first of the interior of the car, then of the outside, then an echoey space with whispers and cackles of people vibrating through it. However, the wrap around my eyes was eventually removed from my face, and my bonds were cut. It took a while for my eyes to adjust, but I found myself in a warehouse, surrounded by devils, including Malix, who was smirking at me.
Nicely done! I'm sure those little shits will come running to find you when they realize you didn't return to your precious little mansion. They'll search everywhere for you.
Malix walked over and set the barrel of his gun against the skin between my eyes.
It'll be so funny when they find your dead body instead.
Fight? No way this was happening. No way I was going to let myself be a victim of this. I will...
What are you whimpering? Are you praying that the boys will come and save you?
I closed my eyes and took a deep breath before snapping one leg and sweeping my foot across Malix's face. Ha! I don't know. Malix flew to the side and rolled, rubbing his cheek in complete shock. I could feel Eris step back away from me, leaving me to look at Malix and shake my foot out from the hip. Malix quickly hopped up and growled at me, obviously surprised but irritated beyond belief.
You little bitch! You think you're tough, huh? Well, I'll show you your place! Come here!
No, thank you. Malix charged at me, dropping the gun that would never hurt me to the floor and reaching for my face. However, I quickly crouched down and swept my leg in front of me, knocking Malix down once again. I rolled back away from the fallen devil and glared as I rose back up to my feet. Just because I'm human doesn't mean I can't kick your ass. I placed my hands in front of me before sliding over to Malix and slamming my foot into his head. One of the devils around us tried to step in, but Eris held out her arm, stopping me.
No! Stay out of it! Let Malix deal with it!
As commanded, the devils that surrounded us stood away from the fight. The group watching us was lost in intrigue, and I stood up against their leader. I continued to kick Malix, who tried to block my kicks with his arm. I brought a foot up before slamming it down onto Malix's chest. I definitely heard a rib or two crack at impact, causing Malik to lose his breath. What I didn't expect was him grabbing my leg and pulling it from under me. Oh no. I fell to the ground, landing with a loud thud. I felt pain shoot up my arm and run through my body as the impact my body had on the ground. I tried to push off, but the pain forced me to stay down. Malik took the chance to roll up on top of me and pin me down, glaring and smirking at me evilly. As I tried to get him off, the futility of the situation dawned on me. I was fighting a devil. I was just a human. I wasn't magical, nor was I special. I wasn't going to beat him.
It's useless, woman. You're as good as dead. Bet you regret trying to fight me in the first place now.
No. Fear began to consume me. Oh, for the love of God, please someone find me. I prayed, and I hoped I wouldn't have to keep fighting. I was becoming desperate.
You have major balls trying to fight me. You're not even a man. You're a puny woman who's about to get what's coming to her.
Sexist. What made everyone in the warehouse drop our fighting faces was the screeching of police sirens coming closer to our location. Malik smirked even wider.
It's time to have fun, boys! Make sure you kill them all!
Oh no! The devils all seemed to get excited and started to walk past us to meet the cops, but a loud finger snap stopped them and made them turn around. Malix and I looked to see Eris with her hand in the air, post-snap.
Eris? What are you doing?
Enough, Malix! We've wasted enough time in this stupid town. I'm getting out of here and I'm taking the rest with me.
I don't know whether to laugh or not. I bit my tongue as Malix got angry again.
Like hell you are! Boys, do as I say, or else!
None of the boys moved. Eris snapped her fingers again, causing the boys to rush past her and out another way from the warehouse.
Malix, it's over. You can't even beat a human girl. You're losing your powers. Lower devils only follow higher-ups that actually have power.
Shut your mouth!
Malix summoned his gun to his hand and shot multiple times at Eris, who somehow managed to teleport away from the shooting line and reappear by us. She shook her head, letting out a sigh before grabbing Malix by the neck and pulling him off of me. Malix started to choke as Eris stared coldly at him.
All this for a bunch of pretty boys. You must be stupid and desperate.
Eris looked to me, making me tense up.
Human, I suggest heading home to your pretty boys. You don't want to get involved in a supernatural investigation. It's a pain in the ass.
She then turned back to Malix, glaring daggers into him as he glared back at her.
You really think women are weak? Let me fix that, sweetie.
And with that, Eris vanished into the shadows, taking Malix with her. As I was left alone, the police siren stopped. I looked over on the open passage to see the incubi with a large police siren megaphone staring at me in surprise.
Where is he? I swear I'm gonna...
He's gone. Eris took him and left. They won't be coming back. It was all so surreal. I was helped by a devil. But I quickly shook off the feeling. I was alive, and that was all that mattered. I fought to stay alive, and there I was. The boys tried to question me, but James cleared his throat, catching the attention of his brothers and me.
Let's just get you home, miss. There's nothing more to see here.
Altogether, we began to walk out of the warehouse back home. There was no way in hell anyone was going to find out about this. It was over. Malix was gone and the boys were finally safe. A wave of relief ran through my body at the thought of never having to deal with that group again. At the same time, a ping of realization hit the back of my mind. The boys were only going to stay until after Malix was defeated. That was our deal. As we approached home, I could feel something heavy way down my heart. It was late, but the boys led me inside and turned on the lights in the lobby.
Finally, we can relax.
It will be good to have some rest without devils breathing down our necks.
I'm just tired. Can I hit the hay early?
I think some sleep would be good for all of us.
I looked at Damien, knowing he could read my mind, and frowned. I didn't want him to know what my thoughts on the situation. Yeah, bed sounds good. I wanted to just end tonight. Too much had happened and I felt dizzy just trying to figure it out. However, Damien spoke up, stopping all of us from moving.
Should we be gone in the morning?
The air became still with tension. The realization of the situation hit the boys like a wave, forcing them to turn to me in curiosity. They had remembered their deal and were now waiting for me to decide their fate. However, I knew my answer. I couldn't keep them here. I knew I couldn't. They were demons and I was a human. I needed to deal with my own life beyond anything else. If these boys stayed, my life would only become more complicated. I think that would be best. James nodded in agreement, keeping a professional tone in his voice as he replied to me.
Then we will be gone before you wake, miss. Thank you for letting us stay here as long as we did.
I could feel the upset emotions of the incubi reverberate in the room, but I couldn't change my mind. I had too much going on in my life to let them stay, no matter how much I wanted them to.
It was a pleasure to have served you, beautiful lady.
Sad. It's kind of heartbreaking, actually, to have to let them go. It really is. It was hard watching each boy turn away from me for the last time. I stood there waiting for them all to leave the lobby.
I guess this is goodbye. Yeah. Have a good one.
I stuck to my guns. I knew I was making the right choice.
Thank you for having us, miss. Maybe we'll see each other again.
Maybe, maybe not.
Goodbye.
Oh no, Damien, no! As Damien left my sight, I finally let an air that I was denying into my body and sighed. My life would return to normal. Well, as normal as it could be. However, I was smarter and wiser than before. I knew of things beyond humanity now. I had come to learn about the boys and about the existence of the supernatural. I wasn't blind to what was beyond human life. Learning of this made me more open-minded. I nodded to myself before heading into my room, closing the door and mentally allowing the reality of the situation to sink in. Tomorrow I had school. No devils to kidnap me. No incubi to wake up with. I went to bed that night, accepting and not regretting anything. Or so I had hoped.
You are an interesting creature.
I opened my eyes to see a woman staring down at me with a very slight smirk on her face. I opened my mouth to scream in fright, but a hand quickly covered my mouth.
No screaming now. Too early, silly girl.
I could only stare up at the woman above me. I still felt weak, not having the strength to move and fight her off. She was very beautiful, but I felt more anger than amazement.
Why do the boys like you? You're unique, yes, but that can't be all that you have going for you.
Rage began to consume my core. This woman, whoever she was making me mad. She must have known as she let out another smirk grow onto her face.
Ooh, you're feisty. That could be why.
Before I could bite her hand in anger, she removed her hand from my lips, standing up and staring down at me from her place next to my bed. I quickly sat up and glared daggers at the intruder. Who the hell are you, and why are you in my room? The woman began to laugh, making the rage inside me increase. I wanted to punch her, but I waited for her answer.
How silly of me. I forgot that we demons are not well known of in your world. You can call me Diana, little human.
Diana? Demon? You're a demon?
I am, but I'm much more than just an average demon.
What do you mean?
Silly girl. I'm a succubus.
I stared at Diana in shock. A succubus? First incubi, now a succubus? Great, I have now met both genders of sex humans. Diana crossed her arms under her bosom and looked at my body.
Well, you are pretty. A goody little two-shoes, aren't you?
Goody little two-shoes? I moved out and stood from the bed, I still glaring at Diana. Why are you here?
Well, I came here to clean up what the boys clearly forgot to clean. Men. So sloppy.
What do you mean by that?
I mean erasing your memories, sweetie.
This one wasn't serious, was she? She comes into my room and spouts this? This was ridiculous. I began to walk towards my room, wanting to leave the room. The boys could get rid of her. I had no mind about dealing with her myself.
The boys are gone, sweetie.
I froze in place. What? They were already gone? No way. I turned to Diana, glaring hard at her, but she kept a smirk onto me. She kept a smirk to me. You're lying.
Am I? If you want to go see for yourself, you can, but I promise you'll be wasting your time.
I stared, trying to find any hint if she was lying. She had to be. The boys wouldn't just up and leave without resting first. Right? Diana crossed her arms and waited for me to make a choice. I decided to believe her for now. I'd find some hint in this conversation. What do you mean, take my memories?
Well, we demons can't have just anyone knowing about us. You have to completely devote your soul to learning about us. And even then, it's not always guaranteed that you can be granted knowledge of us.
What makes me not deserve to know everything? I was attacked by devils. I found the boys in my house, wounded, and sheltered them. I think I deserve to remember those moments. Diana let out a laugh, running a hand through her hair before looking back to me, amused.
You were attacked by a gang and were almost killed. You found 5 homeless men and let them stay in your home. There's nothing special about either of these instances.
Yes, there was.
A human like you can't understand the rules. The boys themselves aren't even aware of the rules. They'll learn soon enough.
Diana flipped her hair before looking to me with a stern look.
Listen, sweetie. You're not going back to bed or leaving this house with those memories. I'm taking them from you, one way or another.
I glared, standing my ground. You're not taking my memories. I'm not letting you take them.
And what do you plan to do with them, huh? Tell the press? Gossip to your friends that demons exist? Confess to your parents that you had demon servants and were almost killed by a devil gang?
Now she was making me mad. Did she seriously think I was this stupid? These memories were precious to me, and I wasn't going to let her win over my mind. These memories are important to me. I know that other creatures exist. I know that magic exists. I'm more open-minded now.
Open-minded or gullible?
What did she mean by that? The point of being open-minded was to open to all thought. How is that anything close to being gullible?
There is nothing to learn from remembering the boys that won't bring trouble. I'm merely saving you from that. There are more than just demons who want to keep their existence a secret. There are many creatures in this world that don't want to be known of, and you remembering a small fragment is not acceptable to them without good reason.
Diana smirked.
If you would have kept the boys, or at least had one of them around, they'd be a little more lenient to listen to your pleas. However, you're about to go into tomorrow without any of them around.
I couldn't believe my ears. There was more than just demons? Other fictional creatures existed? There was a system? What? Diana sighed and snapped her fingers, lifting my body up from the ground with her magic.
Look, I can kill you and no longer waste what little time I have, or I can erase your memories and go on with my life. I have more important things to do above arguing with you.
I looked down at the ground and saw something that made every nerve in my body quickly quake in fear. On the ground was a large open mouth with sharp, wet teeth leading to an empty black abyss. I could feel the heat from the mouth's breath pant against my floating body. I can't scream right now. I kind of strained my throat a couple days ago, but yeah, oh well. I looked to Diana, who was looking at me with a stern and almost heartless gaze.
Make a choice, sweetie. Give up your memories or be a demon's snack. I warn you, he's quite the biter.
No! I was panicking. I was about to die. Again, the boys weren't here to protect me. What was I going to do? I guess we'll give up the memories? Hopefully that turns out alright for us. My mind began to wander. Were the memories truly worth my life? I remember the way the boys helped organize the house party and helped me home after Malix's ordeal. But then I remembered I'm only human. I wasn't a demon. I wasn't special. The world of magic was too large for me. I already had a world to face without magic being involved. I felt a wave of sadness run through me, replaying the memories of all that had happened the past few days one last time before speaking up. Fine, take my memories. I couldn't keep them. They were beyond my world. They were beyond what I needed to know. I was never meant to know of them. Diana nodded.
Glad you understand now.
The pit beast below me closed its jaws, vanishing into nothing as I was lowered to the ground. I stood up straight and looked to Diana, resolved. Diana sighed before closing her hand and muttering Latin phrases under her breath, loud enough for me to barely hear. She then opened her hand and revealed a small purple vial. What is that?
A memory potion. It will remove all of the memories of demons and magic from your mind. With the memories gone, you can live your life as free as you want.
What about the boys?
I have a spell for them. As soon as you drink that potion, you sign your contract with me, and I will take the boys back to where they belong.
Will they remember me?
I'll make sure they won't. They won't even remember ever thinking about coming to the human world.
Oh, this is sad. Why didn't you use it before now? Why do I have to drink it knowingly?
Because demon magic isn't black and white, dear. The one catch is that the potion has to be drunk with full natural consent, so I can't just slip it into your chocolate milk or pour it into your mouth as you sleep. That's the downside of good succubus magic.
Hey, chocolate milk is good. So I'll be...
A plain, boring human. No potential, no abilities, no memories to even have abilities. You'll be a plain Jane girl in a plain Jane world.
Sad. I nodded before looking into the vial, my memory in exchange for my humanity. I popped the cork of the vial and gingerly brought it to my lips. Goodbye, magic. Goodbye, demons. Goodbye, strange future. Hello, normalcy. I tilted my head back and chugged the drink down, feeling its magic already starting its work as it reached the inside of my mouth. I felt dizzy and sick, but I sucked down every last drop of the liquid. I felt the memories of the boys fade away. I never met them in this house when I moved in. I was never attacked by Malix or his goons. I was never kidnapped. I never met Diana. As I finished drinking, I felt my body grow weak, almost becoming unable to continue standing up. My vision was blurred and fuzzy, and I couldn't help but let my eyes shut. I asked for this. I wouldn't have the boys protect me anymore. I didn't even open my eyes when I finally fell forward into Diana's arms.
It's for your own good, sweetie. Forget about it and be normal. I'm sorry.
I felt my mind slowly relax. There were no demons, no devils, no magic to drive me crazy. Everything was normal. Everything was peaceful. Everything was ordinary. Just the way Diana wanted. Just the way I wanted. Eventually, the morning arrived and the sun screamed at me to get up. Surprisingly, I woke up before my alarm, which was nice. I stretched out and quickly got dressed, getting ready for school. I went over in my mind what had happened over the weekend, suddenly feeling wary. I had moved in Friday night, held a house party Saturday, and enjoyed my day Sunday. Yep, sounds right. I scooped up my bag and headed downstairs to the dining room. The room was empty and I felt hungry. I needed to eat something. I looked to my phone and saw a text I must have completely forgotten about.
Hey, I know you have school today, but do you want to hang out after?
Awesome, sure. I couldn't help but how did he get my number? I couldn't help a small smile from growing on my face. Andrew was sweet and seemed like a good guy. I remember how he gave me his number as he dropped me off at home from my visit to grandfather's grave, making me smile. My small smile. Brigger. I can't speak. I chuckled and texted back. Sure, why not? I made myself some quick toast and coffee, needing a jump start. I felt drained and I did not want to fall asleep in class. Something bothered me though. My house felt empty, or at least emptier than when I came for some reason. I couldn't put my finger on it, but it slightly bothered me. I finished my food and quickly rushed to the front, waiting for Naomi's car and confident that nothing was going to happen. I avoided talking about what had happened yesterday. I'll be riding with you guys from now on to and from school. As we entered the school, we quickly gathered our things from our lockers and headed to class. There were no events to my surprise. Naomi and Suzu took their seats around me, Suzu in front of me and Naomi beside me before the class bell rang and the class was greeted by our teacher. History wasn't as boring as economics, but I still managed to space out in the class just the same. I decided to keep my eyes to my notebook. I began to scribble random doodles, some which stuck out more than others. I had managed to doodle a small bear with a heart in its stomach. I cracked a small smile at the image, imagining the heart lighting up on my paper as I pressed the eraser of my pencil on it. I remember what had happened last week, slowly frowning at the memory of my grandfather. I guess it was still hard to let him go. To lose someone is never easy, but I knew that moping and letting his memory get to me wouldn't do any good. I felt, though, that he was watching over me. As stupid as that may sound, I felt that I was somehow safe. Like it was okay to not focus on school or my future and just live in my own little world. I could be a little girl and draw pictures instead of plan out the rest of my life and be perfectly happy. Sadly, I knew that wasn't realistic. Graduation was slowly coming up and my mind had wandered into the future once again. What was I going to do? It was hard to think about. At this rate, I just wanted to wing it. No decisions had to be made ahead of time in my little world. No disappointments would come out of whatever I decided to do in my little world. Hell, maybe I could have found a perfect magical love in my little world and life would just turn out like a dream. It was sad to think that my world wasn't real, yet my heart still wished that it was. I gently squeezed inside my chest, almost convincing me that magic could be real. My mind knew better. I let out a small sigh, letting my little world hide away in my thoughts as the class bell rang. Naomi and Suzu smiled at me, making me feel a little bit better. At least I still had my friends. I quickly gathered my things and left to my next class. Throughout the day, I felt myself wondering about my future. What was I going to do? How was I going to do it? Everything. Then Andrew came to mind. He and I were in the same position. We both were in line to take the CEO position, but neither of us wanted it. It was adorable to think about. A strange Romeo and Juliet.
Hey, are you listening?
I broke out of my thoughts, finding myself in the hall with my things, ready to head home. What?
Dude, you've been spacing out all day. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. As I expected, Naomi and Suzu gave me disapproving looks.
What's going on, Anderson?
We're just worried about you.
It's nothing, really. It's... Before I could continue, I heard Lisette's gaggle of girls giggling nearby. I prepped myself, ready to fight Lisette or deal with another attack from her girl army before turning to the sound. I felt my face go red at the sight. Andrew was standing in the hall, smiling at me. The girls around me seemed flirtatious, but he only kept his eyes on me. It wasn't like he was holding flowers, but his older looks made him the cutie of the school hall. I will be honest, he was much more handsome than any guy in the school. Andrew, hi.
Hey, I was waiting outside for you, but I needed to use the restroom. I hope you don't mind me coming into your school for that, right?
Not at all, not at all. Andrew smiled at me before gesturing to my friends, who both practically had their jaws hitting the floor.
And who are your friends?
Oh, this is Naomi and Suzu.
Pleasure.
Yo.
They looked at me, giving me their silent friendship. Oh my god, who is this Hawkeye and how do you know him look? I glared for half a second at each of them before smiling to Andrew. So you came to pick me up?
Yeah, I figured I could drive you from school to wherever, you know? Save some time and stuff. Unless you don't wanna.
No, it's cool. Just give me a couple seconds, alright?
For sure. I'll be outside.
Andrew smiled and gave me a two-finger salute to me before heading out the hall. The girls, like a gaggle of morons followed. As I looked to Naomi and Suzu, they glared at me. What?
How do you know that guy? When did you two meet?
You've been hogging guys to yourself.
Oh man. It's not like that, okay? We met at the house party. My mother introduced us, and well, he's kind of nice. Naomi and Suzu raised their eyebrows at me in an almost perfect sync. I sighed. Look, we're just friends and he wanted to hang out, so I said yes, okay? It's just for today. It's nothing, really.
Whatever you say.
Just remember to use rubber.
Oh my god. Oh my god. No, no, Suzu. No. Bad. You guys! Before I could defend myself, Lysette strutted over to me, crossing her arms.
So, who was that? A college boy?
Back off, Lisette. I'm really not in the mood to hear your voice right now, and neither is Anderson.
I just wanted to know. Can a girl be curious?
Be curious, but don't pry.
I could feel something go sour. Something wasn't right. Why was Lysette approaching us? She wasn't the type to talk to us freely. I looked to see a small gaggle of our girls gather, glaring at my friends and me, and ready to pounce. I also noticed that Susan, Naomi, and I were cornered. What do you want, Lysette?
Well, Anderson, I'm getting a little tired of this game. For years now, we've been at each other's throats.
Excuse me?
Shut it, Capini. The point is, let's let go of the past, shall we? We're both different people, and we're gonna graduate soon. I don't want to graduate with bad blood between us.
Almost like a cliche chick flick, Lysette held her hands out in front of me with a smile. Was she joking? After all we had been through? She plotted the girls to tease us, to make us miserable. She was the mastermind behind any operation against me. Years of her trying to undermine me because we both were on top of our classes and she wanted to shake hands. This wasn't like her at all. I rushed my gaze over her, trying to see what was different. Was she just tricking me? Was she being held in some kind of knife point? My eyes landed on a small purple pencil sticking out of her pocket. For some reason, it caught my eye. I knew something was up with it, but it was just a pencil. What could be up with the pencil?
Hello?
I snapped out of my trance and looked at Lysette, who was glaring at me.
Are you going to shake my hand, or what?
Shook her hand. I was better than her, beyond better than her. She didn't deserve my hand, but I gave it anyway. Fine, let the past be the past. Lysette smiled before stepping back. It was strange, but the smile seemed genuine and complex.
Good! Bye, Anderson!
And with that, Lysette and her girl groupies left me and my friends alone. I wasn't the only one confused by the whole ordeal.
What just happened?
Did Lisette just try to...
Be the better person? Yeah.
Please don't tell me you forgave her so easily.
Yeah, I did. I needed to let it go. She wanted to move on, and from the looks of it, she wouldn't bother me and my friends anymore. It was time to forgive and forget. I shrugged. Was it a good choice? I believed it was. I continued down the hall with Naomi and Suzu right beside me.
So, what about this guy? You're going on a date?
It's just hanging out.
So, we can come with, right?
No way, Suzu. You have to babysit Francesca, and I have to go to a college interview.
I turned and smiled at my friends. Trust me, I'll be fine. It's just hanging out. I'll text you both when I get home. Like a pair of adorable parents, Naomi and Suzu nodded before heading out, leaving me to head after Andrew. I smiled to see him leaned against his car waiting. He seemed alright, and luckily he wasn't surrounded by girls. Andrew smiled and waved me over. I rushed over and smiled back. Hi.
Hi.
Like a gentleman, Andrew opened my door for me, gesturing me inside. I stepped inside and sat down before he closed the door and circled to get into the driver's seat. We pulled out of the parking lot and began to drive. To where, I didn't know, but I trusted Andrew to stay local since it was just hanging out.
Look, I know this seems weird, me picking you up and stuff, but I promise you'll love where we're going.
And where are we going exactly?
It's a cafe. The Pink Lady Cafe. Best cinnamon rolls around, and their coffee is to die for.
Ooh, I've been recording for an hour. I guess I'm gonna have to cut this up because I didn't realize it was that long. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. And I didn't realize, Andrew's playthrough was this long. But anyways, bye!